morning, good evening. Welcome to this week's live craft and chat where we're going to be working on the Tunisian honeycomb stitch. Let me know in the chat if you've been enjoying this adventure into honeycomb stitching and into Tunisian, I should say. My glasses are so foggy. Let me just sort them out. I thought I'd clean them, but I'm not actually happy with how they are. So just give me one little minute. So it's been a morning here already. We've had some stuff happening here behind the scenes. Hopefully everything is running, everything is good. Please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, all those sorts of good things. And if you are enjoying this adventure, please remember to click that like button. It makes a big difference, believe it or not, something so simple to do. Oh, we have Louis. Louis is here. Louis has had a haircut. Not sure how he feels about the haircut, let's be honest. Can I get him a bit more? There we go. He is a little colder today. It's beautiful today. It's a little bit overcast. It's not as stinky hot as it has been. It's a little stuffy in here, so I am just going to turn the fan on. I'm sorry, Lulu. I know you're a bit cold now that you're naked. But I'm just going to pop that fan on just to keep the air moving around a little. So has everybody who is jumping in, have you been making just the little sort of, you know, the little mini swatches? Or actually, are you going in afterwards and making the full face wash aside? I'm really curious to know where everyone's at in the process. So, and while, you know, you guys put that into the chat, I'm going to ask, and well, I'm going to let you all know a bit of housekeeping for this week. It is the last Saturday of the month is coming up, which means we are meeting up IRL at the Beanley Tavern. So if that is something that you would like to come along to, please let me know so I can make sure I book enough seats for everybody. This one does need to be, you do need to let me know if you're coming along to this one. I do need to make sure we are booking enough of the venue. So it is a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughing and all that sort of stuff. So that is one of those things. Knitspin Girl says there was a hold up at customs and my hooks haven't arrived yet, but I did get a notification they're coming today. Well, that is awesome. Sad that you don't have them yet, but awesome that they're on their way. So that is good. Leanne saying the sound is good and it looks great too. So that is good to know. Thank you, Leanne. I appreciate that. So yeah, look, I'm loving this. And it was really quite funny. We were doing a bit of a shuffle around of some things and something had fallen down under something. And Tim pulled this out. It's like, what is this? And I went, oh, this is a face washer that I made. It's got to be 4 years ago. Obviously, it's never been used because I haven't finished it off yet. But I finished off the stitching and then just sort of tucked it aside in the craft chest and never touched it again. So I've actually got a bonus simple stitch one that's just appeared. So, and I was laughing and Tim was just like, why are you laughing? And I said, well, honey, because I'm actually right now in the middle of a series teaching people how to do this. And he was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, the universe just handed me another one. So this one I would have done with a slightly tighter hook. I can tell by the back. See how the stitches are a bit more defined in the back as well? So, so here it's a little looser. It's not bad, but it's just a little looser, a little bit different. So this one I would have done with a slightly smaller hook than I probably would have now. So, you know, and this is the thing, we do constantly learn things. And I need to be 100% clear and transparent. I don't know everything. I know that's shocking, but I don't. And I'm constantly learning and I constantly learn new ways to do things and new techniques. And I take on your tips and your tricks as well, because we're all on this journey of learning together. We are all wanting to make our yarn crafting more fun and more exciting. And the best way to do that is to learn new ways to do it. You know, I hear about people like, oh, isn't knitting boring? And I'm like, no. What about, and you're like, crochet's not boring either. None of them are boring. What are you making? And that's what it comes down to. You know, like if you are bored with your craft, have a look at what it is you're making, because you know, sometimes you might just need to, it's like anything in life. When we hit this sort of plateau where we're just doing the same stuff over and over and over and over again, we do get bored. We do get, you know, we don't enjoy it as much. You know, it's just like, meh, it's just something to do. But it is definitely, for me, how I stop my boredom is I'm changing things up constantly. Like, I don't just have a crochet project on the go. I have a crochet project, a couple of knitting projects. I've actually got a couple of crochet projects on the go. I've got a secret squirrel crochet project on the go that nobody knows about. Or at least I don't think anybody knows about. My family know about it. Anyway, and you know, it's just a project that I've got out in the living room that I'm just sort of sitting there when I'm watching telly or when I'm, you know, answering emails and things like that, and I need to stop and think for a moment. I pull over the project and just work on it for a little bit and then put it back aside. So, you know, we've all got to have these different things that we're doing, that we're learning, and just to keep it alive, because it's really easy to become bored, complacent, and become those people. Like my goal in life is to never be that person in a Facebook group yucking somebody's project. Like, oh my God, you're doing that the wrong way. Or I've been doing this for 60 years and I've never seen it done that way. You know, I've never done it that way. So, and why do you need to do it that way? Like, what kind of attitude is that? Like, yep, you've been doing this for 60 years. Your skills must be amazing. You must really love it. And you're not interested in learning a new way to do something. You're not interested in being open to a new style or even just a variation of a really old style. Like, really? Is that where we're at now? I really, every time I see someone start a post with, I've been doing this for 60 years, or, you know, something similar to that, I instantly, like, I'm like, oh no. To me, it's nearly the same as, no offense, but I'm going to be offensive. You know what I mean? Like, the second sentence starts with no offense, but, you know, someone's going to drop something offensive, and they think that by starting it with no offense, means that they're fine, but the answer is they're not. They're still rude. And so, you know, you just got all these sort of like these people sort of, I don't know, is it gatekeeping? Would you consider it gatekeeping in a community when someone's doing that sort of stuff? You know, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I want to be the person who's thrown open the gates. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Let me see. I want to see that. You know what I mean? Like, are we that community that throws open the gates and lets anyone in? Yarn crafters. Oh, look, do you know what? I even talk to scrumblers, and I can't do it. I can't. I've tried, and I'm always like inspired by what they do, but my brain just says, no. There's no organization. There is no pattern. There is only chaos, and the chaos is beautiful, but I can't do it. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be like, nope, scrumbling is awful. No, it's just something I can't do, and that's okay. I'm allowed to not be able to do something. Let me look in the chat here. I'm having a look. Sue Ellen says, I'm excited to learn a new stitch today, trying to work on the side. Oh, Sue Ellen. Angela says, I've been going to a lot of IRL craft and chats here in Indianapolis. I think I've been to 3 locally in the last 3 weeks, and I'm so grateful that my mental health is getting so much better. You know what? And I've probably told this story before, Angela, and I'm sorry if you've already heard it. But a few years ago, I realized I was no longer going to IRL craft meetups. I wasn't. I couldn't find one that suited when I was available, that wasn't an hour's drive away, which was at that stage too much for me. And so the only way I could get a craft group in an area that I was happy with, that was at a time I could do, was actually to start it myself. And it was so daunting, and I nearly didn't do it. And I'm so, so glad that I did. So yes, scrumbling is freeform. Yeah, absolutely. Leanne says, I love learning with our crafting. Even the crafts I don't do, spinning intrigues me every time I see it. Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like, just because we don't know how to do it yet doesn't mean that we can't appreciate it, you know? Knitspin Girl says, there's always something new to learn. I've been knitting for 45 years and I love learning new things. And I know there's so much I still don't know. Oh, look, me too. Me too. And when I teach something, I just teach the way that I know how to do it, you know? And it's like, but there could be like a ton of other ways to make exactly the same stitch. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, just the way I do it is not the only way. And if the way I'm doing it doesn't work for you, do what I do, which is go and watch a billion other creators, and go and check out their channels, because different teaching techniques resonate with different people, and somebody else might be able to help you get over a hurdle that I wasn't able to help you get over. Or maybe I'm helping you over a hurdle that someone else couldn't help you get over. How we talk and how we describe things can really make a massive difference to each individual learning. Home Rapid Repair, thank you so much for the sticker, and cheers to that. Cheers to the coffee. I actually have coffee in the blue cup today. And a Hey You sticker as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. They're so cute, those stickers. I love them. I wish that the stickers do appear. I was going to say, I wish the stickers showed up on screen, but they do. Oh, I love that even more. That is so cool. Thank you, Social Stream Ninja. Let me have a look here. Angela says, I totally agree. It may be hard at first, but learning something new keeps it so exciting. Doesn't it though? Doesn't it? Like, it's so easy to become bored and complacent in what we're doing, but just learning a new technique or learning a new way to do it, or something like when I'm knitting, right? It would have been so easy for me just to keep English knitting. And I was slow and I didn't enjoy it as much. And I'm watching all these people create these things really quickly, or at least, you know, in my brain, it was very quickly. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get my fingers to move the way theirs was. And then I was sitting down watching a lady at Queensland Spinners, and she was continental knitting. And I was just like, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm knitting. And I'm like, but what kind of knitting is this? And at this stage, I didn't know continental knitting was a thing. And she told me, and then I went home and searched it, and I found this really cool, it was awful quality video, but this, I'd watched like a million others, but this one particular video was fantastic, and it just taught me what I needed. And, you know, so then I learned continental knitting, and then you go in and you're like, I've been doing continental knitting for 10 years, right? I need a change up, so I'm going to learn Norwegian knitting. And there's, you know, there's so many different ways of knitting and crocheting that if you want to change things up and you want to learn some new techniques, maybe learning some new styles can help you along the way. Angela, I agree with you. I totally loathe it. Don't want to be offensive, but not meaning to be offensive, but, and it's like they're instantly going to drop something offensive. Instantly. And that's the thing. They know it's offensive because they've prefaced it with not to be offensive, but, you know. Talia, great to see you here. Good to see you. Mel says it's like socks. There's toe ups, there's cuff downs, there's so many different ways to make heel. None are wrong. They're just different. I agree. Knitspin Girl says, my everything has to be neat and perfect. Brain can't cope with scrumbling. It looks amazing, but I can't do it. I'm the same. I think it's fantastic, and I love watching people create it. Like, I love actually the process. Like, if you sat down and watched someone actually working on their freeform or scrumbled project, it's just like, I don't get it. I don't understand how they can get that in their head. Like, I'm going to make this thing. Now let's do it. And I suppose I can't draw either, so it's probably a big part of that disconnect from my brain to my hands. So, yeah. Leslie Grant, great to see you. Sue Ellen says, I love learning new things with my craft. I signed up for a Turkish spindle class even though I thought I'm pretty good at it, but there's always something to learn more. One of the big things I remember, I was teaching a ply on the fly technique, and there were ladies in there that had been spinning for 11 billion years. Some of them had been spindle spinning just as long, and they'd never even heard of ply on the fly. And now, like Chintamani, who jumps into the chat every now and again, she jokes about how, you know, she doesn't spin any other way now, because once you've finished spinning, it's done because you plied it as you went. So, you know, there's always something new to learn. There's always something new to learn. One of the things that I learned when trying to learn to knit, a series for crocheters wanting to knit, is to hold your yarn the same way you do when you crochet. Mind blown. That's right. Absolutely. And to me, continental knitting is a lot that. It's not exactly the same, but it's a lot that. All right. So I've got my beverages. I've got water. I've got coffee. And I've got over here tea as well. I realized that I was making the big thing of tea and not getting through it all in the day, and it was just a waste. So I'm going to try a smaller amount of tea. I am. So have you got your hooks? Have you got your yarn? We are going to make some honeycomb Tunisian stitches today. All right. So Crochet with Claire is a lurking. Good to see you, Claire. Thanks for jumping in. So if you haven't been with us before, we're going to start our sample with a 10 or 11 stitch sample. We're going to use some either DK or worsted weight cotton, or if you're using something finer, you have to make sure you've got the correct hook for the yarn that you're using, okay? And keeping in mind that I'm using a 6mm hook to go with my worsted weight yarn. I actually think a 6.5 would be better for this, but it's what I've got for right now. Actually, I probably have a 6.5 tucked away in my set. That's how much I'm like, oh, but I really prefer the catch hooks. Are you a 6.5? Look at that. First one I dug out is a 6.5. How is that? How's that? All right, so I'm going to use the 6.5 on this for the sample. And so I'm using a DK weighted cotton here for my main project, and that's using the 6mm, okay? Let us jump into our uppy closey mode. Let's bring it in. Oh, you're charging, and you are on a... How much charge have we got? Have we got enough? No. This should be fun. Did I unplug you? No, you're still charging. Excellent. Alrighty. Let's bring it into close-up time. Oh, no, here we go. We want close-up plus the other stuff. This has been used for something else, so let's bring that down. Let us jump in. So we've got our 6mm or 6.5mm hook. I don't know if you can read that there. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you what it is. Yeah, knit spin girls. I'm the same. I was just like, I'm going to wear my hair down today. No, I'm not. No, it's just too hot. And for me, it's just a bit too muggy. You know, it's more what it is. It's too humid. The temperature itself, oh man, something dusty got in here. I think it was the dirty face washer. The one that had been pulled out of, you know, storage. What are you? Are you the coffee or you the tea? I think you're the tea. You're the tea. I'll save you for later. I really, really need the coffee right now. Thanks very much. Okay, so we've got all the camera angles today, even Louis. So we're going to start off with, now this is going to be the big thing for you. This particular stitch method, think of it a lot like ribbing, knitting and purling while we're doing this. So bring on the Yetis. So while technically an even number works better for knitting and purling, we do have that additional stitch at the end that we don't really count into anything because of how we do it. So if you want to have 10 stitches, you can. If you want to have 11 stitches, you can. It will just slightly change how it looks a little bit. This is an odd stitched. So that's how it's looking, odd stitched. Just ignore over here. I made a mistake. We're just going to ignore that. And I didn't want to pull it back for a face washer. I'm sorry. We've had this discussion before. So, you know, I'm doing mine odd stitch, but you can do it even stitched. But you will just need to keep a little eye on your project. So just like all the others, we start with our number of chains that we want, remembering that the number of chains that we get is the number of stitches that we make. Please don't zoom in. I don't want to zoom in. Oh my goodness, why does this phone do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then we flip it over and we pick our stitches up from the back like we have in all the previous tutorials. Now, we did go into this in a lot of detail in the first one. So if you want a bit more help or you need a bit more information, I'm really glad to clean my glasses because I can't see these stitches from this distance very well. All right, there we go. We're picking up the back bumps, okay? And as I said before, you don't have to do it this way. I just think just picking up these back bumps just really gives us a nicer edge, and we can make our top edge and bottom edge match then. And if you know me, I'm all about the matchy. So if I can make the top edge and bottom edge match just by doing a little bit of extra fiddly stuff at the start rather than having to go back around and doing a full border. Like, I don't mind doing borders if a border is what I wanted to do. It's another thing where like I have to do a border because I didn't do my setup how I liked it. So that's the thing. Remembering that we do skip that first stitch. And I'm like sitting here thinking, did I skip the first stitch now that I'm reminding everybody to skip the first stitch and I'm this far in? Possibly not. Possibly not. So our first foundation row is the same as all the previous foundation rows we've done, where we do our forward pass. This is technically our forward pass. And we're picking up our loops. But we are just picking them up from the back. I'm nervous to count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, I had a feeling I grabbed that first one when I shouldn't have. I do want mine to be odd, so I'm actually just going to drop that out at the end there. And we're going to ignore this because I do want mine to be odd. All right, so please don't do what I did, and please don't pick up that extra stitch. All right, and we just do our single to start with and draw through 2 all the way back. And then I'm just going to pick this out. No, I'm not. I'm just going to leave it alone because it's just a little sample. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Let me know when you're up to here because we've got a little bit of stuff to do. This one is a bit different. We're doing something a bit different with this one than we have done with the others. Let's have a look here. We've got 20 people coming in and 10 likes. Thank you to everybody watching and hanging out. Okay, Knitspin Girls is ready. Let me know if you need me to wait. I know not all of you are working on this at the same time. I know some of you have got it on while you're doing other things, so I don't want to wait for 20 readies if there's only 5 of us working on it right now. But if you can let me know in the chat, that would be great. I know your fingers are probably busy right now. Louis, your colours are changing. I wonder why that's happening. Might be the fan. He's such a sleepy boy. He's such a sleepy boy. All right, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to have one more sip of my coffee and then we'll keep going. Unless somebody says wait in the chat. Bianca's working on another project while she learns this. That is totally cool. Alrighty. So what we're doing here is, this is like a knit purl kind of scenario, okay? So we need to be doing, we're going to be learning a Tunisian purl stitch, but we're also going to be using the simple stitch instead of the knit stitch, which, look, I probably shouldn't have said knit purl, but it's that kind of scenario, right? So it's more like we're making not so much the knit purl, but like a moss stitch. And then we end up with this beautiful patterning instead of just a standard moss stitch, all right? So we'll start with a simple stitch first on this row. We'll do just a standard simple stitch, okay? Now we're going to do a purl stitch. So we need to bring our yarn to the front of the needle and go through and then bring it around and wrap it and draw through, okay? So see how we have that bar across there now, just like you would do with a normal purl stitch when you're knitting? This is really where the crossroads of knitting and crochet come in. So then we have a simple stitch. We bring the yarn forward and then we do the simple purl. And we do a simple stitch. And I'll go through the purl again. So we need to bring our yarn forward. So there's multiple ways you can bring your yarn forward, okay? So I'm showing you this way because it's the most visually easy way to see it. But when I'm actually working it, I tend to just push it out of the way, go in here, and then wrap it. Okay, I had to think about how I wrap it for a second there. You know, when you're doing something and then you're teaching it and you realize you're doing it differently. So then we do our knit stitch and I push mine down and out of the way and then we wrap it. And then we do our knit stitch, or our simple stitch, I should say. And then we bring our yarn forward. Oh, actually, and I'm going to stop right there because we are at the end stitch. So no matter where you are in the repeat, you do your end stitch the same way, where you've got to push it through and pick up both of the little loops. See, I'm picking up 2 loops there. Hey, Russell, great to see you. Okay. And then, oh, hello, ant, get off me. We have so many ants at the moment, it's driving us insane. Okay, then we do our pullback row. So yarn over, draw through 1, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, all the way back to the start. Now those just jumping in, every row is pretty much the same from here on in. So it's a standard foundation row setup that we've done for all our previous stitches. And then I'll show how we do this bit going forward. Okay, now one thing I want to point out is when you are looking at these stitches, now I need a pokey thing. Thank you, pokey thing. When we're looking at these stitches and we're trying to work out which is our knit stitch and which is our purl stitch, because like a moss stitch, we have to work these things out. We've got our standard straight bar. So it's a straight bar there. This will be much easier to see from the next row going forward, but we did our simple stitch here and see how this has got a crossbar here on this left side and it's not just straight in. That's where we did our purl stitch. Okay, so the next row will make it much easier, but we did need to know where we started because I started with the simple stitch here. Now I need to do the purl stitch. So I need to get my yarn to the back, yarn to the front, bring it through, wrap it around. Okay, and then the next row is a simple stitch. Next stitch is a simple stitch. And then yarn to the front into our knit stitch or purl stitch, then our simple stitch gets another, oops, what am I doing there? I'm doing the wrong thing. So that was a purl stitch because it's got a sideways bar, so that gets a straight simple stitch. Okay, then yarn to the front and purl stitch. yarn goes to the back, simple stitch, yarn to the front, purl stitch, yarn to just where it is, knit stitch. No, simple stitch, not knit stitch. That's where I keep confusing myself. And then I've got one more here. I've got to get this purl stitch in. And then we've got our end stitch here. And we just do a double count, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. That's still the same number. So making sure you've got that going. Francis says, I can't join in today, sitting in the waiting room at my kids' specialist and forgot my yarn and hook. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. All right, and now for our pullback row, it's yarn over, draw through 1, then yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, all the way back to the beginning of the row. Now let me know if you've got any questions in the chat. You guys know the drill, those of you that have been here for a few of these now. So I'm up to the next one here. So I can see there's the purl bar there. So I purled on that stitch last time. So I need to knit on that stitch this time. So into the, not knit, but simple stitch. So simple stitch in, then yarn forward, do the purl stitch, simple stitch, purl stitch, simple stitch. So you can see how that's quite tight there, but that's okay. But we know it's the purl stitch because it's got the horizontal line. So we want to knit or simple stitch into that one, and then purl into the next. Simple stitch into the next and purl into there. And simple stitch, and we are at the end, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So then we need to do our pickup on the end where we go through the 2 loops. So you can see the pattern starting to form here. So on this one, it's a lot clearer just because of, I think, color choices, and it's a thinner yarn. So you can see that it's definitely coming together. Why is it called a Tunisian honeycomb stitch? Russell, it is purely just because how it looks like a little honeycombs, like the actual, it looks more honeycomby. So we've got, let's grab some of the others so you can compare. So far we've done the simple stitch, which is this one here. And then we did the knit stitch, which is this one here. So you can see how the stitches look. So this one was named for the knit stitch because it looks like knitting, even though it's done with the crochet hook. The back does not look like knitting, just the front. And this is the simple stitch. I think it's just because it's the easiest. I don't know. I don't know if it is the easiest, but anyway, it's what it's called. This one's a simple stitch. And now we're doing a combination of simple stitch and purl stitch. So we're learning the purl stitch while doing this method. So all I can put it down to is what the end stitch looks like. I don't actually know for certain though. Let me have a look here. Yeah, everyone in chat saying it looks like honeycomb. Yeah, look, and is there something else that you've noticed? This doesn't roll. I've done nothing to this. I'm still in the middle of working on this. This doesn't roll. The simple stitch rolls. The knit stitch, it also rolls. The honeycomb stitch, that's stuck under there. That does not roll. It's not rolling at the top, at the sides, at the bottom. It just sits so much more nicely. And I can see why a lot of designers like to use the honeycomb stitch as like the borders for things, because it stops them from rolling. Okay, so it is one of those things where it actually stops everything from rolling. So it's bizarre. And like this is done with the exact same hook. Now, one thing I will say is it does come in a little tighter. So this is these two have the same number of stitches on the same hook, and it is coming in just a little, just a little bit more there. So yeah. Can I please show the purl again? Absolutely, I can. Alrighty, let me just get back to a pullback row. Sorry, I just need to pull back. 8, 10, 11. Alrighty, let me pull back and I'll show another row. And we'll go through the purl stitch again. There's two variants. They both work just as well as each other. It'll come down to how you like to hold your hands and what it is that you like to do. I know for myself, I have definitely different methods of when I'm teaching to show clearly versus what I'm actually working on. Russell, perfect. Absolutely for table like trivets, like hot pads to put pots on. Might be a little thin, but if you just work, because that's the other thing, it's also a little thinner than the others. But if you worked it in like this yarn, this is definitely coming up thicker, but definitely pot holders, face washers, anything like that. Okay, so let me have a look here. I knitted that first stitch last time, so it is purl. Alrighty, so straight up for a purl stitch, I always get like a bit like, the edges don't work for me. All right. That's all right, Leslie. That's totally cool. That's totally cool. We get that, you know, we are in different places in the tutorial. Okay, so to do purl, we need the yarn in front, just like a knitted purl, and we bring that through, and then we bring the yarn back around and then back over the top and then draw it through. Okay, so we do a knit stitch, not a knit, it's a simple stitch. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Because my brain is instantly going knit purl, knit purl, knit purl, because I'm thinking knitting, I'm thinking like moss stitch, but I have to keep reminding myself we're not doing the knit stitch, we're doing the simple stitch. So simple purl, simple purl, simple purl. Alrighty, we're on to another purl. Now, where the confusion might be happening is I'm showing two different methods for the purling. So that was the method that I'm showing so you can see what you're doing. This is the method that I actually do. So instead of bringing the yarn over the top, I just pull it to the front and get it out of the way. Then I bring that around and then I just wrap it just like normal. Okay, and then we'll do a knit stitch, a simple stitch, but you can totally go yarn over the hook, so the yarn's at the front, technically that's at the front, believe it or not, then bring that, and then we bring it around the front and bring it over. So whichever of those two methods works for you, or any other that does the same thing. So you've just, you know, I just realized I needed to mention that I do it differently, because as I move along in my project, you're going to notice I do it differently. So you can do it with that going into there and wrapping around. Let me count my stitches, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and I'm onto the edge stitch here. What I've realized is that needs to move up. Okay, and then we'd go and do our pullback row. And then we'll start our forward pass again, or our pickup row. So it's technically called a forward pass, but in my brain we're picking up all the stitches. But it is a forward pass. Leanne says that she's intending to make some for her kitchen. Absolutely. What we're doing is we make these little samples, and I've got lots of them around now. Look at this. Little samples of all the different stitches that we're trying in the different yarns and fabrics. And even the little samples are useful for things. So, you know, maybe not so much for you, Russell, but for a lot of us girls, makeup removers, things like that. Or you can just pull it out. You don't need to keep it. All right, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Well, this just zooms in by itself. Awesome. That's great. You can go and look at that stitch right there. Yep. Angela says Tunisian pearl makes way more sense to me than the knitting pearl. Well, I'm not sure what method of knitting you're learning. Louis, did you move your little bed, dude? Let me just fix you up. There we go. We like to be able to see you in the shot. Oh, I know what it is. You've moved further away from the fan. His little cold boy had a big haircut yesterday. All right. So I'm going to keep going because we're making a square. So I did the pearl row. I can tell that by that's actually the knitted. It's straight all the way down. The pearl has got a horizontal bar across it. Well, there you go, Russell. Some little makeup wipes might come in handy for you. All right, so this was a pearl, so we're going to do our simple stitch and then pearl into that one. Simple stitch and pearl into this one. Now, as you'll notice, as we're moving across, the first one's always a bit like, am I knitting or purling? But as you get further across, that horizontal bar, I don't know why, but at least for me, it seems to move up a little bit. The stitch is a little tighter. And so I can see the horizontal bar a lot easier. So it makes it a lot simpler for me to just go through and make it. And pick up the double stitches at the end. I've tried knitting the knit stitch, but my brain just couldn't figure out how to purl, and I've tried so many times. I think my brain is just weird sometimes. Angela, I will, if you like, we can sit down and I can pull out some knitting and I can show you how I purl, because this is really similar to how I purl. Yarn over, draw through 1, draw through 2. All the way to the bottom of the jar. Then that was the knit. So I'm on to a purl. First stitch. For some reason I'm like, oh man, I hate doing it as the first one, and there's no real difference. I don't know why my hands are like, oh, I hate that, but I do. All right, then we simple stitch and then purl stitch and then simple stitch and purl stitch and simple stitch, purl stitch, simple, purl, and do a count. Why do I do counts? Because I constantly lose the stitches. And I know not everybody does, but I do. And if I just check it every row, I have less surprises. It's the same pullback row as all the other methods we've learnt. So can you see how the pattern's starting to form now? You can sort of see the oops, pointy end. You can see the honeycomb shape starting to show up. Sue Ellen said, oh my God, is anyone else losing stitches? Check your first one. It might be the first one that you're missing. That tends to be where I lose most of my stitches, which is why I really consciously make a big effort to really be like, okay, where am I up to there? So have a look at when you're doing here, because they do, like, see how they kind of, that one's bending into that one there. And it kind of doesn't look like, it looks like it's part of that same stitch, but it's actually not. So you might just be skipping over this guy here. So we need that one because it's 1, 2, 3. Well, that one there is first. So 1, that one's number 2. Okay. And the other thing is, and this is where I actually find I gain stitches because of the whole yarning over thing in my brain. I'm yarning over. I'm not bringing the yarn forward, which is why I do try to do it a bit differently. With my orange sample, I gained a stitch because of a, well, it appeared to be a yarn over. There we go. And It's Been Girl says, I keep accidentally making the yarn overs. I'm putting my finger on the yarn of the hook to hold it out of the way for the purl stitch and forget to drop it off again. Yes, it's very easy to do. It's very easy to do. So I push mine out of the way. So when I'm working along by myself and I'm not having to hold my body around a camera, I push it, I just push it down with my thumb. So I'm not actually yarning over. So I just push it out of the way with my thumb. So it's still forward of the stitch. Then wrap it. And then I don't have to do a physical, like if I'm doing that physical yarn over, like when you're knitting, that's the yarn over. That's how you make a yarn over stitch. But so to bring my yarn forward, I literally just bring it forward and push it out of the way with my thumb. And pick up my stitch and then do the rest of the stitch. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing that way, is because I kept gaining stitches so much that it was just frustrating. It was frustrating. And like, you know what? I was making face washes. Wasn't that important. No one really uses them but me, even in our family. So it wasn't such a biggie, but I was just really frustrated. And then I just learnt this other method of just bringing it forward with my thumb rather than actually doing that yarn over method. And I found that for me, it worked better. But there's 2 methods there and you get to decide which way works better for you. Alrighty. How are we all going? Let me know in the chat. I'm thinking I might bring this guy over and keep working on him while I am working, and I'll keep this here. So if you need me to repeat something, I can repeat it on this one, and I'll just keep working on this one while we chat. Oops, move all the other metal tappy hooks out of the way. So with this one, I can really see that that's the purl stitch really easily. See how they're sort of, that one was more at the top. So I will say, doing this method that I'm doing with my bringing the yarn out and holding it out of the way with my thumb, it's harder to do because I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm having to hold my arm around this box here where the camera is, and it's just not quite the right angle for me to comfortably do what I'm doing. So yes. And the other thing is really keep an eye on it. Like, see how that previous row purl was very tight? It'd be very easy to skip it and jump onto the next stitch entirely. But you've really just got to have a look there and just sort of dig your hook in. Once the hook goes in, it's no problems. It's just, it just needs to be actually included. Yeah, working around the cameras is not fun. Oops, hang on a second. Oh, that's right. For a second there, I thought I was doing two purls in a row, but I wasn't. This is fun, although you think you need to go up a hook size. Yeah. Yeah, this one is definitely creates a slightly tighter fabric. And you'll need to judge it as best you can for yourself, if that makes any sense at all. Oops. What's happening is my brain's on autopilot with it, except I keep having to stop and go, where am I up to? And my autopilot's like, don't worry, I've got you. And it's just like, but do you? Do you really? Now, I think off the top of my head, I think I had 31 stitches on this particular one. But, you know, who knows? I could be wrong. I'll count it and see. I think it was 31. Might have been 32. I don't know anymore. We'll find out when I stop at the end here and do a count, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30. Did I miss a stitch somewhere? I definitely had an odd number. Oh, 31 plus the one at the end, you numpty. Split a stitch there. The rest of that to come off. There we go. I'll tell you what, this Flinders Cotton from Spotlight, very nice to do this with. However, it's a little softly spun, so therefore it can be a bit easy to split. Whereas the Dishy Cotton from Knit Picks, a little firmer on the hand, and that's just because it's spun just a little bit more. So it's got a bit more twist to it, which also makes it a little harder to split it. Not impossible. If you really want to split it, you can. Alrighty, I'm gonna beveragino time. And next week, we're going to be working on a project that incorporates all of our little stitches into it. So that'll be some fun, won't it? Are you all right there, Lulu? Do you need a little blanket? Are you okay? Is there an acrylic yarn that you recommend from Knit Picks? There is. Brava. Brava worsted. Bring it on. I love it. Love Brava worsted. It feels so nice. It washes so nicely. And the cast off is the same. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Yes, the Brava worsted. I've made 2 blankets with it now. Love it. So yeah, highly recommend. I do have a Knit Picks affiliate if you would like to use my Knit Picks affiliate. The affiliate codes are great because they don't cost you anymore, which I just love that. I love that there's a way that you can have these things without them costing, like, it doesn't cost the end user anymore, but us that recommend the products actually get just a little kickback. It's not huge, it's a little one, but it's something. Thank you, Kelly and Leanne, for dropping the Fibrific affiliate link for Knit Picks. Appreciate you both doing that. Oh, this is something that happens every now and again. I know. I just lost track of my brain. I was physically doing the correct thing, but my brain was a stitch behind. Does that happen to anybody else? Yeah, Afghan stitch. A lot of people call it Afghan stitch. Yeah. I don't actually know the origins of this style of crochet. I actually am not sure if it's either of those places, whether it's Tunisia or Afghanistan. I don't know. It's probably not, because, you know, we tend to just stick names on things for whatever reason. But I don't know. I don't know the actual origins of the name. Someone probably does. There's someone very clever out there who's probably made a video on it. I don't know. I just do the stitches. I can do a lot of things, but I'm 100% sure that me trying that stitching would wind up a dog's breakfast. Well, Russell, you know what? I reckon just about all of us started with our projects looking like dog's breakfasts. I know mine did. They were hilarious. They were just all the wrong. Everything about it was wrong. But over time, we learn how to do different things and we get better. Let me know in the chat, did anybody here make something stunning the very first time with their knitting or their crochet? And did it hold together, and, you know, were there not mistakes in it? Like, it's the learning curve, Russell. Everything has a learning curve. The advantage actually over yarn with a lot of things with the learning curve, however, is you can actually just pull it out and do it again. You don't lose anything other than some time. But I don't consider time lost in education as or time spent in education. I don't consider that time lost. Claire says, mine was perfect. Really? Really? Was it absolutely perfect? Or did your mum just say it was perfect? Or whoever taught you? I'm assuming it was your mum. Funnily enough, I assume it was like someone's mum who taught them. My aunt taught me. My mum didn't teach me knitting or crochet. Glenn says, mine looked like a pancake that had been run over by a car and then a lawnmower. I love that description. That's actually the perfect description. I love that, because that's now that I'm picturing it, that's pretty much what mine looked like. So if we're going for that lawn-mowered aesthetic, then we both won, right? But yeah, it's like anything. When we first learn it, we have to give ourselves the opportunity to learn. And sometimes that involves a little bit of failure to start with. And there's actually, there's a lot of dudes who craft and who crochet with yarn. Like, a lot of seamen made their own jumpers, like the Guernsey jumpers. A lot of those were at sea by the sailors. Like it's like, well, now everyone's like, oh, knitting's a woman's thing. No, it's not. The Tunisian honeycomb. Russell's been researching. Thanks, Russell. Love this. Let me just jump in here. The Tunisian honeycomb stitch is a specific pattern within the broader category of Tunisian crochet, which itself has a murky origin. Yeah. Tunisian crochet is believed to have evolved from a style of hooked knitting practiced in Africa and Central Asia, although its exact origin remains unclear. It sounds right. The term Tunisian was likely coined by the French, and the patterns featuring the similar stitches began appearing in European publications in the mid-1800s. Yeah, this all sounds... Yeah. I'm not surprised by what you found here. I'm really not. I think it's good. Yeah, look, I agree that it's visually appealing, and look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab out a project that I've been working on quietly. This is a T.O. Yarn Crafts Moona sweater, and I'm just going to see if I can... Oh, I've just lost a stitch marker. Jeez, I hope that wasn't off somewhere important. Where is the edge? There's the edge. She started all of the edges with the honeycomb stitch, and then you went into the simple stitch, and it's so the edges of our project doesn't curl. And this is the back of the cardigan, right? Let me just go out to our standard 2 camera. There we go. This is the back of the cardigan here. And when we do the front of the cardigan, up the sides will also have honeycomb stitching as well. And then the tops of the pockets have honeycomb stitching. So it is really fantastic to be able to do some of these extra stitches, to be able to add in portions to our projects for their natural ability. So for this one's natural ability to not curl, so it's holding the whole Tunisian, like the rest of it. I'm just going to hold it up here on the main camera. The rest of it is all simple stitch, right? So the rest of it is all simple stitch being held, with the little edge of honeycomb. So just a little bit of something on the edge can make the world of difference. So shove that back in its project bag. Over there. So back to our close-up. Leanne says there's a growing number of men picking up yarn crafts. Well, and see, this is the thing, Leanne. I think that there was always a lot of men who did yarn crafts, but they just did it quietly, you know. But there's especially in the US, there's whole retreats, men only crafting retreats. You know, and before we get into the whole, why aren't there women only crafting retreats? The majority of crafting retreats are mostly women. Like, let's be honest. But there are men only knitting groups. I just love that it's becoming like publicly acceptable. Like, I've got a friend that I taught to crochet while we were both in high school. He was in the army, and he continued to crochet and make blankets, and it was just a really good way to pass time. And yep, copped a bit of grief, you know, but it's just a really good way you can really focus your thoughts. You can really sit there and think about something that you need to mull over in your brain. What have I done there? And just sort of, and I'll say this, like, when I'm first learning, like anything, this side of it's a bit harder, right? But once you've got that muscle memory down and you're just making, it's very easy for you to concentrate your thoughts on something that you need to plan and think about. And for how my brain works, and so this is not the case for everybody, quite often I can problem solve something else while I'm crocheting. So the crocheting keeps some other part of my brain busy that needs to be kept busy so that the problem solving can happen. And then, and like I keep a notepad and paper so that I can be, or my iPad or my laptop, whatever I'm working on right there, because then I can just put the craft project down, go in, add in whatever I need to do, and then go back and continue crafting. And I just find for me, they work hand in hand. And so, and like there's the number of studies out there now that prove that people who do yarn like knitting or crocheting, simple projects, I want to clarify that, simple projects while they're listening to talks, listening to like seminars and things like that, they have a much higher retention of knowledge than those who are sort of just sitting there making sure they're looking like they're attentive. Whereas while we may be looking at our hands or working away, our brain is actually engaged very heavily in what's being spoken about. And, you know, there's some really interesting studies from the neuroscience parts of yarn crafting, knitting and crocheting specifically. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I quite often, if I know I'm going somewhere that's going to be a little bit stressful, I will make sure I have a little project in my bag. It needs to be what I call my mind-numbing projects. It just needs to be something very simple, no lace, nothing intricate, just something, lots of plain stitching, whatever, or something that I've well and truly memorized, and then I can cope better and I can take in more knowledge. I mean, I attend a lot of online meetings and Q&A calls and webinars and things like that. I've always got craft on my desk. And while I try to keep it out of shot every now and again, I'll do something like that, where it will be like pulled, like while I'm pulling yarn or something, and it'll come into camera and then it'll be like, oh my gosh, she's not listening. And it's just like, you have no idea how much knowledge I've taken in and how much more I've taken in because I've been able to keep my hands busy while I listen to you. So yeah, different brains work different ways, and I know that, but this is a really solid way that helps my brain. And apparently quite a few others based off all of this research. And they're not all salty brains like me. They are all different types of people. My daughter calls that the monkey brain. She keeps hers busy with music while she does her harder uni assignments. Absolutely. I was like, when I was at high school, I used to have music blaring and my mum would be like, how can you concentrate? And I'd just be like, I concentrate better with it on than it off. But yeah, I love that description, the monkey brain. Knitspin Girl says, one of the boys in high school was designing and knitting his own Jenny Key style jumpers. They were amazing, inspired me to go back into knitting and haven't stopped since. I love that. Claire, you've been a channel member now for 41 months. That is so awesome. Thank you for being a channel member. And, you know, your message. That's awesome too. Thank you. Knitspin Girl says, knitting during meetings occupies that part of my brain that wants to wander off and do something else. I listen so much better when I knit. Yeah. Angela says, my late husband would complain when I crocheted while watching TV because he didn't think I was paying attention. He stopped when I pointed out something on the TV that he missed. Yeah, like that's the thing. We really do take in more while we're keeping our hands busy. And like Knitspin Girls, like I think I've noticed that if I'm in meetings where I'm sort of sitting there thinking this could have been an email, or I'm in a meeting where it's not really like, it's like an all hands or something like that, where I just need to be there, and I'm not doing anything else. Like I'm consciously like, you know, I've been told no crafting or whatever. Not that that happens very often now, but it used to. Those meetings, my brain wanders a lot more and I'm more likely to miss something. Leanne says, it's the same theory for fidget items for people and children on the spectrum. When fidgeting, their brain can concentrate much clearer and better. Claire, You know what? I don't know if anything's going to stop me from biting my nails short of having fake nails hiding them. I have tried everything and I don't even know I'm biting my nails. But I do know one thing. When I'm doing this, I am not biting my nails, but I must just get a lot of damage in when I am. That's all I can say. I'm very efficient at that. I don't even know that I'm biting my nails when I am. My husband will point it out and I just won't even realize I'm doing it. It's totally subconscious. I have tried the painting the nails with the gross tasty stuff. My brain, because my brain's not registering that I'm doing it. It is not registering the gross stuff. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. And that stuff doesn't work. But what did work is when I had my fake nails. So when I had, like, when that lady was doing all those beautiful artworks on my nails, that worked great. And I was kind of hoping that after like 12 or 18 months of me having that maybe I would not bite my nails when they came off. And I just, the second, within weeks of them coming off, I had no nails again. So it was just a slow, it wasn't like instantly gnawed straight down. It was just a very slow process. And then they were gone. I have tried wearing gloves, but I do live in the subtropics. So it's very hot. And it's very uncomfortable to have to wear gloves all the time. And, you know, for all these people, like, you just have to not bite them for a few months and then you'll be over it. And it's just like, well, no, that's actually not true, because I didn't bite them for 2 years while I had, well, 18 months while I had fake nails. And then the second the fake nails came off and I had access again. Crochet said, Crochet with Claire says, live on a farm with dirt and cow and dirty dog. And yeah, well, when I've noticed, when my husband points out, it's at night after I've had a shower and I'm in my pajamas sitting on the couch and I'm sort of running through, like, all right, what I'm running through in my brain is every single conversation I've had through the day to make sure I haven't done something wrong or embarrassed myself, and that's when I bite my nails. So that's probably more information about me than you've ever needed to know, but that's what it is. Drink more scotch. There seems to be a theme, Russell. It seems to be a theme. Am I on a forward pass? I am on a forward pass. Okay. Oh, let me have a look here. I have botched it up. I'm doing the wrong stitches here. There we go. Universal cure. Yep. Russell is wise. Love it. Oh, funnily enough, at my husband's 50th birthday party on the weekend, he got given like a 50th birthday sort of scotch glass. And he's like, oh, look at this. And I'm like, oh, thank you for that glass, but I'm not 50 yet. And Tim's like, well, it's for me. And I'm like, well, you don't drink scotch, honey. And I'm like, so, you know, I've just scored myself another glass. And he was just like, I'll use it. I'm like, you can't put ginger ale in a scotch glass, Tim. It's just not right. You just get to use a plastic cup. So we had good laughs over that. Alrighty, I'm nearly at the end. I've got to do the measuring do to check how many more rows need to go on this to make it, you know, squarish. I say squarish because I'm not that precious. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30. Plus the one at the end makes 31. Angela says anxiety brain is a real and vicious thing. Mine is usually cracking knuckles all the time. Oh, there you go. I don't really do that much unless I've, need to. Like sometimes my hands need it. They get stiff and sore and just a little pop releases and, all good. I mean, that's easier said than done, Russell. That's just not how my brain goes. And I don't like, once I've run through it once, like and in saying this, I know I'm lucky because I know this isn't the case for everybody. But once I sit down and run through it once, usually the next day is a fresh day. And so that stuff that I run through the next night will be about that day, but not about the week before or something like that. Whereas I know some people have to, like they're constantly running everything constantly. So I know that if I just have a quick, I call them my mental debriefs. It's if I have my quick debrief in my brain, I try to think through everything, and I'm getting better with it. Like I'm like, nope, that was cool, that was good, that was fine, that was good, but I'm still biting my nails while I do it. So yeah. Which again, I don't realize I'm doing. I don't realize I'm doing it at the moment that I'm doing it. So it's not like something, I've got to work out a way that I can actually realize I'm doing my mental debrief now and it doesn't need to be done. And I need to work out that step. So, everyone's brains work just a little bit differently. I'm just doing the fold over test. It's a very scientific method. It looks like I still need a couple more rows. The scientific method. That's why I say square-ish, right? It's square enough. And then sometimes I'll just get sucked into what I'm doing and add on like extra rows and it's like less square, more rectangular, but like whatever. I don't actually care that much. These are just little samples that I use as face washes. I should test some as pot holders, actually. I'm that person who gets burnt all the time. I use tea towels, but then I sort of fold my tea towels. I'm just trying to think if it's doubled or in four, and I can't quite remember. And so it's sort of like an automatic process. I don't think about it until I'm just grabbing something out of the oven and I've kind of flipped the tea towel and it's got multiple layers. And I'll tell you what I hate using is I hate using oven mitts. Like, let me know in the chat. Are oven mitts annoying for anybody else? Like, I'm more about a grab the corner of a tea towel kind of person. I really pulled that, didn't I? Oven mitts, I find that I just end up putting them in stuff because the other thing is my hands are so small. There's like this much oven mitt that's just waving around doing whatever it wants. So I put my hand on the edge of a pan and the rest of the oven mitt's gone in the food. So it might just be a small hands problem. It could legit be just that. But yeah, I don't use oven mitts because of that exact reason. Because I've got little hands. Russell says a very large step I've managed is to think about and assess the usefulness of what I'm thinking about. Hard to do, but an important skill. I agree. That'd be a great skill to have. It really would. Have I got the whole stitch there? I think I do. Hey Lulu, what are you doing, big man? Angela says, well, actually, we'll start here. Knitspin Girl says, I hate oven mitts. Angela says, I'm not an oven mitt person either, and I have average size hands. Leanne says, I'm going to do a 10 ply cotton. I do have one that's 2 squares sewn together in 8 ply, and it's awesome. Keeps the heat out. Hope the 10 ply works as well. The 10 ply will probably work even better. But yeah, like usually, like when I'm looking at those, the patterns for like oven pads and things like that, they usually are double thicknessed. Double thicknessed? I don't know. That's the words I'm going with, okay? So yeah, so if I was using these as for the oven, I'd probably want to fold them in half and go that way. Russell says, I love the heavy duty oven mitts when baking or broiling. I just use like a tea towel. Just pull it out. Yeah. And saying that I haven't tried heavy duty ones. I've just tried standard oven mitts, but they don't fit. So I don't want to spend the money on the good ones because they're not going to fit either. Russell says he does a lot of baking. I've seen some of the photos of your baking over on Facebook. Like that strawberry bread that looked very interesting. Did that taste good? Yeah, I've got the little silicone ones that are like you put your fingers in and it's like a little mouth that opens. I've got those. I'm not a big fan. I mean, they're much smaller and they do the job, but I just don't feel like I can grab as well. Like, because, you know, I don't know. You know what? It's probably just a control thing. It's probably one of my little brain control things where I feel like I've got better grasp on it when I probably don't. But yeah, we've got a couple of those. Tim and Abby like to use those. And we do have oven mitts because, again, Tim and Abby like to use the oven mitts. I just tend to use a tea towel. So the silicone, I'm always kind of waiting to get burnt. Like I've never been burnt using the silicone ones. I want to preface it with that. But my brain's like, well, this is thin. Like you are going to suffer when the heat comes through. I reckon maybe one more row and then the end off row. Well, I mean, I need the recipe. I need the recipe because it looked so interesting. So is it a sweet bread or is it just like a standard loaf that's got a like strawberry flavor to it? Yeah, they look like little duck bills. They do, yeah. And I've got a yellow one and a green one, I think. Okay, where am I up to this? So how's everyone going? Have they finished their sample size? Oh, there we go. I'm trying to do it again. I've already done the pearl. I just need a simple stitch. More of a cinnamon nut bread with strawberry accent, not particularly sweet. I think I definitely would like to try that. Finished my sample and I'm waiting impatiently for the mailman. Well, I'm very sorry that they've taken a bit longer, but you're definitely going to like them, I think. They're really solid quality. I'm actually shocked at how much I like them. So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about right now, I'm just going to pull this aside and I'm going to put that over there temporarily. We're going to go to our standard view here. As we're talking about this, which is a set of Tunisian crochet hooks. Can I zoom out? Is that zooming in? There we go. Zoom out. All right. It's a set of Tunisian crochet hooks from AliExpress, of all places. Okay. And you get all of these hooks and you get all these bits and bobs. The case is very basic. It's just got like a little spot, like a little sleeve pocket on one side that's just where you shove all this other stuff, and then the yellow board goes down the other side. And you get all of these hooks, which this is where I got the 6.5 from earlier. I don't want to actually put it away. I've got to finish off that one. And I paid around the 50 Australian dollars for the whole set, right? So all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hooks, 3 cables, end stoppers, cable connectors, a little gripper thing. Obviously, I don't even think I've opened this bit, to be honest. But other than just to check everything, little keys to lock the cables to the tips. The whole lot was like 50 Australian dollars, okay? And the actual hooks themselves are good. They're good hooks. Now, my only issue that I have with this, right, is the cables. Now, this is, I'm not quite sure why this is dark, but it's gone dark. Let me see if I can fix that up. There we go. The only issue I have is the cables, and that is because these cables don't fit any of my other needles or anything like that. So when these 3 cables break, I don't know how to get replacement cables, because as far as I've been able to see, I've only been able to buy the full kits. I haven't seen anywhere just to buy cables. And so that is my concern. It's gone dark again. Why has it done that? Why are you doing this? Logitech Brio has got something going on. Like, it's opened up, like whenever I open up the app, I get this new thing now. But it's just for the zooming, I thought. I didn't think it changed any of the color warmth. Anyway, I'll fix it up later. So the hooks themselves, I'm very, very impressed with. They've got a great, let's go to the close-up time. They've got a really, really good tip on them, especially for Tunisian. Can you focus a bit better? There we go. They've got a great tip on them for Tunisian. They're very smooth. There's no seams or joins, anything like that. They do have a thumb indent, which I'm not used to a guide for Tunisian, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's fine. It doesn't push the shape out and misshapen the sizing there. That's all still fine. But the actual hooks themselves are lovely, but the cables are the weak point. Now, these are like the ChiaoGoo cables and the new Knit Pro cables. These are plastic coated wire. I think they're going to last okay, but I'm thinking long term, right? Like a couple of years. Like, I mean, I've broken some of my red cables from ChiaoGoo. I was able to buy a replacement. I've broken a Knit Pro cable. I was able to get a replacement. I can't get a replacement of these as far as I'm aware. And it only comes with 3. So they're 3 different lengths. They're great lengths. I like the purple color, whatever, but I'm unable to get more cables. And that is my only concern. But for $50, like, I'm seeing if that's better. For $50, I don't actually have it's not that big of an issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, considering this hook by itself was $50 with no cables, right? So the hook on its own was like $45 or $50. Whereas this whole set is. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's a small concern. Oh, hello. It's a small concern, but it is still a concern. So yeah. This Bin Girl says, I think I paid $45 including postage. All the pics on the listing look identical to yours. Yeah, like, and this is the other thing with AliExpress is I was a previous customer. I'd bought something else from them before. And so you get different deals when you're brand new, and I don't like it. The pricing you see when you're just looking at AliExpress is one thing. When you log in, you get different pricing, which I'm just like, that's shady. But anyway, well, it means you can only make 3 projects at a time. But what I will say is these are also just solid hooks. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you just want to use them as a standard crochet hook, you absolutely can. So if you're after a set of hooks, even if you're not a Tunisian crocheter, they're still a solid set of hooks. So Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. And it was and I don't think the cables will break any more than any other cables will. I really don't. But they, you know, and it's been girl says I think I'd bought something from them years ago. Yeah, well, I mean mine was years ago as well. But yeah, it's just that's my only concern is it's like where do we go to buy more cables? Like even if I had to buy a three cable pack, do you know what I mean? Like so if anyone finds out where we get more of these cables, please tell me because I've been suggesting this as a set because it is such a good value set even with that concern of the cables. It's still excellent value and great quality. But yeah, it's just, it is a concern. It is a concern, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. So I'm just gonna see, can I open Logitune? Will it actually open is the question. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it just sits there with the purple screen of dumb. I think it's gonna sit there with the purple screen of dumb. Cool. That's so good, Logitech. I love that I buy a really expensive webcam and then to open Logitune, I literally have to uninstall it and reinstall it and I get to use it once and then it just sits on this purple screen of dumb. And it's just frustrating. Like, it's just frustrating. So, yeah. Anyway. This is a solid set. That's all I'll say. Alrighty, where's the case? What did I do with it? Oh, I put it over there. Alrighty. Flip you guys back in there. The other thing, I do have one other issue, right? And it's just a me issue, is you'd think getting this size case in and out of this zipper pouch would be easy. But they've really bodged up how they've made the zipper thing. So it's just a little, you kind of got to put it in. You can't just, you know, slide. Well, look at that. I think I did. It was ticking me off. So I popped some stitches down the end so that I could slide it in easier. Because you've also got to keep your hand in there to keep the pocket out of the way. Otherwise it tries to push into the pocket. But yeah, I popped a couple of stitches. Hopefully that will not affect the longevity. This is the cheapest, nastiest vinyl, just so you know. It's not amazing, all right? My sewing machine could totally fix it if I need to. It could totally fix it. Alrighty, let's jump into finishing off. Let us go to our close-up. All right. We'll jump into just a standard finishing off that we do, which is insert the hook. Now you can do this in pattern or just as straight singles. I personally, I think just doing it as standard singles is fine, but some patterns may tell you to do it in pattern. So you might need to bring the yarn forward and then, you know, bring that through and then bring it through. Do you know what I mean? It'll just depend on what the pattern says. But either works. I'm just doing it straight singles. Except for, you know, that one that I showed you that can absolutely work. And then I need scissors. Scissors. Boom. Done skis. There we go. We have another one. Bites dust. Boo. Come here, yellow yarn. What am I doing? I'm on a pickup row. And I don't have the box in front of me anymore. Now for speed, I don't know which way works faster. But faster. I don't know which way works faster. You'd need to work out which works better for you with less mistakes. And that's how I had to think about it, is while the other way is probably quicker to do, I kept stuffing it up, right? And so then I'd have to actually pull back the row and fix it up. And, you know, which one takes more time? But if you're not making the mistakes, then the other way is possibly faster for you. So by the other way, I mean, let me just do this stitch. Oops, hang on. This is the stitch. Oh wait, what have I done here? Let me just see if it's just the last couple I botched up. Yes, so we'll just do a simple stitch. And by the other way, I mean like bringing the yarn over before you go that way. But for me, I kept accidentally making yarn overs, like holding it in place and then doing the stitch as well as. So then I've ended up with an additional stitch. So I had to be really careful of that. So for me, it just worked out better if I brought it forward with my thumb, made the stitch, and didn't hold a yarn over in place. But you've got to work out what works for you. So there we go. And it sounds like Abby is home and Louie hasn't heard it. Or it might not be Abby. Although I didn't hear the gates. So it might just be a vehicle driving around. All right, and then this is my final row of this one as well. So then we'll do, I'm going to do the end off row in pattern this time. No other reason than just to show how it looks when you do it in pattern versus not in pattern, to see if it's actually worth the effort. So we finish our pass. We start the next pass, and that is, the first stitch is a simple stitch. Then the next stitch is a purl. Oops, hang on. My brain was in a pickup row. It wasn't in a cast off row. So simple stitch, and then cast off, and then purl, and cast off, and simple stitch, and cast off, and purl, cast off, simple stitch. I have to keep telling myself to cast off. Sorry if that gets annoying and tiresome for you. You can imagine what it's like in my brain. You also don't want to be pulling too tight on this row, but you also don't want it to be too baggy and loose. Like there's that in the middle set. Leanne says she just scored that set for 30 Australian dollars. That's so good, Leanne. Is that including your post? Because that's gold. That's a bargain. All right, we are nearly at the end of the row. standard through the 2 on the side. Alrighty, scissors. These scissors are starting to die. Alrighty, so that's how it looks using the going all and doing the cast off in pattern. It looks good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it looks good, but this one matches the bottom edge better. So see how that just sort of sits like that. It's sort of, if you want the bottom edge to match, then go that way. But if you know, that still looks lovely. So, but it doesn't technically match because this first row is all straight pickup stitches. Whereas, but they both work, is what I'm saying. I can't get the stupid autofocus to turn off either because it won't let me open the app. Arr. Let's go with the close-up camera. So we've got, this is our cast off that we did, which was just our standard cast off that we do for everything, where it's just a simple stitch pick up and slip stitch straight off. Whereas this is how it looks when you do it in pattern. So I like that it doesn't roll forward as much. Let me just bring this over here. I like that it doesn't, like, so how this sort of technically rolls forward. And I like that this doesn't roll forward. But it's probably all the way down to this doesn't roll. But yeah, this, and like the thing, like, look at that. That face washer just needs its ends woven in and it's done. Whereas these guys, these all need like washing and stretching and steaming and whatever it is to stop them from being rolly. It's just such a nice stitch. Let me know. Are you guys team Honeycomb now in the chat? Let me know in the chat. Team Honeycomb. So yes. I mean, it still needs squaring up a little bit, but other than that, it's fine. It's good to go. Now, do I have any weaving needles? I can be weaving in while we chat. I've got a few things to weave in. Let me just go to the standard. I'm so bright. Oh my God, the orange is breaking the camera. Definitely Team Honeycomb from Bianca. Love it. Team Comb from Leanne. Let's get this orange done and out of the way so we can get it off camera. That's kind of funny. Because in real life, it's nowhere near that bright. That makes it look like it's like safety yellow, safety orange bright, but it's more like, I don't know how to describe it. It's nearly like a, I don't know. I like the look, still feeling the unco of doing the purl stitch. Yeah, look, I get that. And it'll take a little bit to get over that as well. Because it is different than all the other stitches we've done so far. So sometimes we just have to accept it. Joe, good. Great to see you. And you've been loving the Tunisian tutorials. That's so cool. Thank you. So next week we're doing a little mini, like a little face washer project. So hopefully everyone's got a hook that they can use where we combine all our stitches that we've learnt so far. And like, I just want to say, this is just the start. This is barely touching the surface of the hundreds of Tunisian stitches that are out there. There are some amazing designers doing some great work. There's some great books out there. I don't know if the Kim Guzman books from Leisure Arts is still around, but I've got those. I've got 2 of those. It's like 101 Tunisian stitches and then another 101 Tunisian stitches. That one's ready to go. Look at you being a champion. All right. And the red I already did. Excellent. The blue I only finished yesterday. Let's not look too carefully at the blue. It's not exactly square. I probably could have done another row, but I'm not willing to save that amount of cotton just for randomness. Now, I will say that with the Tunisian, I do prefer to weave in on the back. You can hide it a bit better. But you do you, boo. You know, like you weave in however you want to weave in. Like, end off how you want, weave in how you want. I am not the police here. I just don't like it when mine comes undone. So I'm a bit of an overkill when it comes to weaving in ends, and I know it. So, you know, you don't have to do what I do. This end I tend to be less overkill on because it's less likely to come undone, but those ends where it could just pull out all your crochet, I'm usually like, oh look, let's weave that in for 6 hours. You know, do the standard backwards and forwards and change directions. There we go. All my face washes have now got their ends woven in. And as you can see, none of them match size-wise. Oh, look, you can see where I botched it. Where are you? Oh, in the last few rows. You can see where I botched the pattern up, where I was accidentally lining the stitches up rather than, so there's a couple of giant honeycombs. So you can see where I was accidentally not grabbing the right stitches. So that's the worst case scenario, is you end up with some of that sort of going on. But I didn't even notice it till I laid it out and I was looking on camera and I'm like, what are they? And then I was like, oh. So yeah, so you've got to keep an eye on it. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's some great patterns out there. I'm currently working on one, the Moonicati from TL Yarn Crafts. Tony does, like, if you want a serious Tunisian professional, go and check out Tony's stuff. Like, I'm a Tunisian fan. I love Tunisian. I think everyone should learn it, just to have another skill in their pocket. But she designs in it, you know, and also Abby Maid. So Abby Maid's husband is who makes the catch hooks, and she designs Tunisian as well. So her stuff, like, so if you're after an Australian designer, Abby Maid. If you want a US designer, I'll go with TL Yarn Crafts. Is probably the one that I'm seeing the most out of at the moment, probably because of the circles that I'm watching on YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, but let me know in the chat if you've been enjoying this and if we need to plan another sort of series down the track of something else. Coffee is finished. Bring over the tea. Yeah, if we've got something else, like maybe something knitted, we've done some crochet for a bit. That's still nice and hot. That's good. I did something tricky with my tea and coffee this morning, which was actually heated up the milk and put hot milk in them so that the milk wasn't dropping. The tea is not such a big issue, but with the coffee, I add the milk in and it drops the temperature down a lot. So yes, but we can do some standard crochet. We could do some advanced Tunisian. We could do some knitting. We have a lot of options. Oh, Ellen Gormley, that's right. She's another great one. Excellent point. Yes. Abby is fantastic. I went to a class with her, but I couldn't keep up. Yes. After we do our washer next week, once everybody's got their washers done, I'll show you how to put borders on. So it's not a hard thing. If you can put a border on any crochet, it's not a difficult thing. And because of how we're setting everything up, it actually makes it very easy to get those borders on, because we are we're doing the side stitches so that you've got a double loop like on all the patterns. That's an edge, that's the bottom, that's the other side, and that's the top. So because of how we're making them, adding borders on is actually pretty good. So yeah, it wasn't Abby's fault. I'm really sorry. It's not just that. It's also like when you're at these events and you're learning and it's a whole classroom situation, like there's a lot happening all at once, and it is easy just to get a bit overwhelmed. Angela says, I'm loving it even if I'm not participating in it right now. It's impeding itself into the nebulous parts of my brain. Gosh. And Leanna's dropped the Discord link, so if you want to go and show photos of your little samples or whatever it is that you've been working on over on Discord, I'd love to see that. Oh, he's moved again, so let me just... Dude. Nispin Girl says, I'm glad it's easy. I really struggle putting borders on, particularly on corners. Yeah, it's and sometimes it's a judgment call with corners, because it's going to come down to how you stitch as well. Sorry, I've got all these to weave ends in on, so I'm just going to do those while we're chatting. So, you know, sometimes it is a judgment call. Like, you know, someone might want 3 in a corner, whereas someone else might just want like 1 extra or something like that. It's really going to come down to how much space you've got in the corner, how loose or tight you crocheted it. Embedding, I was kind of reading it thinking maybe there's a different word that I don't know, because there's plenty of those that exist, let me tell you. I want some different scissors because they're awful. I can't find some other scissors, so I'm just going to use these snippety snippers. Snip, snips. Well, that was a no-brainer. In it went. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I just saved a video to stop your discourse. Oh yeah, that'd be interesting to watch. Different people have got different ideas on what'll stop your Tunisian from curling. Some of it's down to blocking, different stitches, different hooks. Like there's lots of different, depending on what's like, you know, some people use too small a hook when it comes to their Tunisian. They're like, okay, so I'm using DK, so that's a 4mm hook, and it's just like, well, no, it's not. It's a 5.5, maybe a 6. They forget that you have to go up hook sizes, and that actually makes the curling even worse. Is when you don't have the right size. Like for this one here, I could definitely have gone up a hook size. That is so tight. Good stretch helped it out though. Look at that. Jai's asking Claire if she's done much with her cricket lately. My cricket I haven't even seen. Like, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, but I haven't pulled it out of its carry bag in ages. I really should though. I've got supplies and I've got stuff I could do. I like how like some people are like totally into like making cups and you know all the sort of hard stuff like the sublimation cricketing, whereas I'm more about like the t-shirts and the heat press cricketing. Like different people focus on different areas of it. And then there's some people that are like way into the paper craft part of it. I mean, I've got some stuff. I've got some extra tools there that I haven't really played with. So I've got like embossing tools and tools for cutting leather and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So there's so many things you can do with your Cricut. I just haven't really done them. And I'm a bit nervous to push too hard with it. Because what if I break it? It'd be sad. Weaving in ends on 11 mil. So next week there is no little mini that we're doing. I'm going straight into teaching on a big one. So we'll need to make sure you've got the right length hooks for next week's if you want to join in. So hopefully everyone's got their sets by then. And if they haven't, we can always put it off a week and do our borders next week. Do you know what I mean? So we can judge that one a bit closer too. I get my HTV from Adzon, ADZON. They're up here on the Gold Coast. Fantastic value. And I get the Thermoflex. There's 11 jillion colors. You can buy whatever length roll you want, starting at a standard sheet, like the 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter sheet, all the way to like a half-meter wide rolls. In like 11 million colors. I love it. And they have like fun stuff too. So have a look in some of the fun stuff. There's one that's like a puff paint kind of thing that I did Christmas trees with. And it's still an iron, and all their stuff has clear instructions on how long you need to press it for, and then peel it, and then press it again, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't have an affiliate for Adzon. Just jump in and give them a good old dig around. They've got tons of different stuff. But yeah, they're really good. That's my go-to place for supplies, is I check Adzon first. And they ship locally. I don't know about interstate shipping, but I know that, like, you know, if I want to order something, I've got it the next day because they use couriers rather than Ozpost. But I don't know about everyone else. Like, so when I've got to buy, like, you know, the supplies I need for Fibrific Retreat, right? I need like 5-meter rolls of 2 colors or something. I get them in a box, in a big roll. Makes it so easy. I don't have a cap for that. That feels so unsafe without a cap. There we go. I missed. That's all right. So all the ends are woven in except for this one, which I'm going to need to pull scissors out. ADZON, Adzon. They also have a Facebook page. They're on the Gold Coast. And all the staff know what they're talking about. That's something I really, really love, is how much the staff know what they're talking about. So if you give them a call, someone can help you as well. And they do have a showroom, so if you're ever down that way, you can always pop in. I will warn you, it's dangerous. It's dangerous in the showroom. I came home with so much more stuff than I ever thought I would. Seriously dangerous. Angela, thank you so much for your message. You've been an artisan level member for 33 months, and I appreciate you very, very much. And I'm glad that you can make it into the chat. So I know it's not always the easiest time zone wise and stuff, and I get that, but I do appreciate, you know, that you make the effort to jump in so often. And even those of you that sort of jump in here and there, like I definitely get Freaky Geek. talk about blasts from the past. So good to see you. Yeah, and as I was about to say, and even those of you that can't jump in every week and jump in like when you can, we're all so busy, you know. Life is on top of everybody, and I really just appreciate all the time that I get to spend with you all throughout the week, or you know, in the Discord or on the Facebook page or whatever. And I really do appreciate you all jumping in. Alrighty, now they're all done. I'll probably turn around and find another one. I got a little collection of face scrubbies in various. That one's probably a dash small. I probably could have done it a bit bigger, but a little collection of face scrubbies and a little collection of face washers. We're getting there. We're getting there. Jai says, I often play the replays. That is so awesome, Jai. I really appreciate that. And I see your comment every now and again, and I see you over in the Discord, and, you know, like, it's so good just to catch people's names. And, like, between you and me, everybody, I really appreciate it when you use the same username over on like, Discord as you do here in the chat, because then my brain can connect you together, and then it's just like, I'm just like, wait, who is this person? Like, and then they'll say something, and you're like, oh my God, that's such and such from the chat, but their username on Discord is different. So you're just like, oh, that's stressful. But very much appreciate all of you jumping in and hanging out and spending your time with me every week or once a month or whatever it is. Freaky Geek, did you know we're over on Discord? So you don't need to worry about Facebook if you don't want to. You can come and hang out with us on Discord. So can someone drop the Discord link? That'd be great. But yeah, it's I don't know if the something we found out this week is that the chat commands are case sensitive. So if we do a capital, it doesn't work. And I was using capitals for nouns every time I was testing it. So there we go. There's a Discord link. But yeah. I don't know if I do have an invite below the video. That would actually make a lot of sense. I don't think I do. Now that I think about it. But yeah, we do normally chat about it and drop the link a couple of times throughout the chat. So yeah, and we're starting to have some fun over there, starting to get some momentum and you know, like sharing about our projects and stuff. And then you don't have to worry about Facebook not letting you have the name you want to have. So yeah, the link should be an invite. Both of them should be invite links, right? I think. I don't know. I have to check now. In saying that, lords and ladies of the internet, it is time to say adieu. I need to get on. I'm starving. I need to go and find something for lunch. Then I have to go grocery shopping. But I have to remember to have lunch before I go grocery shopping. Because I just come home with all sorts of extra stuff. If I don't, I'll have my shopping list. I will be very careful. I'll make sure I get everything off the shopping list, but there will also be additional things that make it. Because my decision making is impaired. And I'm like, that would be a great idea. I will get that. And I will get this. And I will get that as well. So, but yeah. Those of you that are local, we do have our Saturday meetup. So I will see you there. If not, I'll see you back here next week. Have a good one, everyone. Bye now.